How do I talk to my spouse or my partner about getting counseling? This is our topic today. It's very important, especially if you're in a season of change in your relationship's overwhelmed or stressed or dealing with some kind of significant issue, and the resources of both people are not enough to resolve the conflict or move to the next stage of growth. That's our topic, and it's affecting so many people. If you get to subscribe, please do. If you have a question, put it in the box. We will get to it. Well, let me give you some ideas here, because sometimes when you present the idea of counseling, especially if you have different cultural backgrounds, and I don't mean ethnicity, I just mean your historical culture. In some cultures all over America and all over the world, they look at counseling as very positive, and some look at it as very negative, like you're weak if you ask for help, or it says something about you or your relationship. Now, these meanings are sometimes very strong and in-depth, and you may run into some of the meanings that they give counseling. So you want to ask your spouse, well, what does counseling mean to you? If someone gets counseling, what does it mean? Does it mean they're strong and they're trying to get stronger? Or does it mean they're weak and sick? Because that can make a big difference in how you present this. Now, let's talk about presenting it. The first thing I would say, if you're going to present the idea of counseling, sell the idea of what they are going to get out of it. So if you're a man and you see a need for counseling, you want to sell your wife or present to your wife the idea of like, I really want to learn how to hear your heart. I really want to learn how to connect to you. I want to be more present with you. I want to be more supportive of you. And I need some tools to be able to be that kind of person for you. You know, and if you're a woman, you're talking to a man, what's in it for him? Well, I want us to get along better. I want to be more attracted to you. I want to be more present with you. I want to desire you more. Whatever it is that you think would work for him to be in it. Now, don't be deceptive. If you go to counseling, make sure that those goals are the first ones you present. And ask the counselor to assess your relationship. And maybe the counselor will say, well, finances are weak, social is weak, spiritual is weak, sex is weak, money is weak. And you can get into those topics structurally. And if you're looking for a structural approach, maybe you can also get the book, Intimacy, 100-Day Guide to Lasting Relationships. That covers all the structures. If they're not willing to do counseling, move to a book and then see if they learn from the book. Well, see, counseling could be helpful. So you might have to kind of glide your way into the counseling process if they are resistant. Now, what happens if you really need help and your spouse or your partner is unwilling to do anything? Well, if they're unwilling to get help, probably that system's going to stay in place. And that's going to create pain for you. So what I would suggest is you go to counseling. You don't need permission from your spouse to go see a counselor. You can do telephone counseling. If you need help with certain topics, you can call my office, 719-278-3708. Do phone counseling with a counselor. Get a session or two for you to be able to clearly define what you really want out of the relationship, what you really want out of counseling, and maybe resolve the issues that are on your side of the fence. And your growth may inspire or challenge them. Because if one person changes in the system, the whole system changes. And so that can be very, very helpful. The other thing about you going to counseling is you can deal with the issues that you have, but also you learn how to set boundaries. And this might change the whole system, where if you say, you know what, I've asked you to go to counseling, I've gone to counseling, but if we don't go together and we're not going to be a team on solving these issues, then I'm going to set a boundary that if we don't get to counseling in the next 2 weeks, then I'm going to stop providing whatever services you provide as a husband or a wife. And it could be, I'm not going to do laundry, I'm not going to cook, I'm not going to, take out the garbage. Whatever it is that you do, you can start shutting down services and say, listen, our relationship's in pain. I'm fighting for our relationship. I'm fighting for us to be the happily ever after. And we need help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. But don't let your pride or my pride stop us from making it all the way for decades. So let's try this. There's nothing to lose in that. Now, the last thing I would say is make sure you do research on the counselor, that they align with you spiritually, that they align with your kind of core beliefs. Because if you go to a counselor who's on a totally different page, so to speak, you might get really bad advice. So you really want to either know someone who has gone to counseling and gotten good results, or do some real research. Make sure if you're going for marriage counseling that maybe they have a degree in marriage and family counseling, because many counselors don't. Psychologists don't oftentimes. licensed professional counselors are not marriage counselors, they're professional counselors. They can be very, very helpful. But make sure that this person that you're interviewing for counseling has real experience with the specific problem you're trying to solve. For instance, if one of you has been sexually abused and that's part of what's going on in the relationship, make sure that that counselor understands sexual abuse. If they have a sexual addiction, make sure the counselor understands sexual addiction. If there's you think there's some kind of disorder, make sure you do research that this person can actually understand how this disorder is impacting the relationship. So you might have to do some research. I would strongly suggest you do that to find the best fit for you so that you can heal your marriage and you can move on. Please take the next step for yourself. Present the idea as good as you can. Be as gracious as you can. And if you need to, get stronger, set boundaries, and go that route. That's how you would begin to talk to your spouse about getting counseling.